The forks clinked against porcelain, laughter circled like smoke, and every smile at the table had a hidden edge. Jasmine sat at the far end, right beside the kitchen door, her chair a misfit among the polished mahogany. The smell of roasted lamb and rosemary didn't reach her, not really. It couldn't, not with the weight sitting on her chest. "Isn't it just amazing?" her mother said loudly, her voice practically singing. "Eli just bought his third apartment in London. And Zara's been nominated for another design award." Gasps and wows followed. The family dinner table gleamed under the crystal chandelier, but Jasmine's plate was barely touched. "Jasmine, dear," her aunt chirped with mock sweetness. "What do you do again? You're still what? Running that little bookstore?" Her father didn't even wait for a reply. "She's freeloading," he scoffed. "Always has been. No ambition, no plan. She's 28 and still figuring things out." Jasmine tried to keep her face still, lips pressed into a thin line. She wanted to respond, to defend herself, but her voice felt lodged behind a wall of embarrassment. Her cousin Eli leaned forward, wine glass in hand. "Come on, Jazz. It's 2025. Everyone's building empires, and you're alphabetizing paperbacks." Laughter again. Then came the final blow. Her mother reached across the table and actually patted her hand. "We still love you, sweetheart. Even if you're, well, a bit of a late bloomer." Her dad added sharply, "No, we pity you. That's different." And just like that, every muscle in Jasmine's body turned to stone. But before she could stand, before the shame could even fully crash through her, there was a shuffle of movement at the head of the table. Her grandmother, 83 and quiet since the soup course, slowly pushed back her chair. The entire room stilled. With one frail hand, she reached into her vintage leather handbag and pulled out a yellowed envelope. "I wasn't going to say anything," Grandma said, her voice fragile but cutting through the room like glass. "But I think it's time they knew." Everyone turned toward her in confusion. Jasmine blinked. "Mom, what are you doing?" Jasmine's father asked, his tone uneasy. Grandma's hand trembled, but her eyes locked onto Jasmine's like a thread pulling two broken pieces back together. "This letter," she said slowly, holding it with reverence, "was written to Jasmine 18 years ago. From someone you all conveniently forgot. It's time she reads it." Jasmine's fingers felt numb as she took it. She opened it carefully, as if it might fall apart in her hands. Her lips silently traced the words inside. And when she looked up, her eyes wide, filled with something none of them had seen in her before. The room felt different. Jasmine's voice didn't shake. "It's from Grandpa." There was a pause. "He left me something. Something none of you ever told me about." Her father paled. That's impossible. He died before." "No," Jasmine interrupted, standing up. Her shoulders were squared now. "You just didn't want me to know." Grandma smiled softly, and for the first time that night, Jasmine didn't feel alone. And just like that, everything began to change. Jasmine's fingers trembled slightly as she slid the letter back into the envelope. Her chest tightened, not from shame anymore, but from the overwhelming whirl of questions storming her head. The room was dead silent. Her father's fork clattered against his plate. Her mother reached for her wine glass, but missed slightly, the rim tipping against the edge of the table. Eli scoffed, trying to break the tension. "What is this? Some bedtime story? Grandpa didn't even leave a will." "That's what you told me," Jasmine said, her voice sharper now, more grounded. "But this says otherwise." Grandma stood slowly, every movement deliberate. "I found that letter in his study, tucked behind the drawer liner in his old desk. He wrote it the week before his heart attack." "Why would he write to her?" her mother snapped. Jasmine turned the letter so they could see the handwriting, elegant cursive, undeniably Grandpa's. "Because he saw something in me, even when none of you did." Grandma's eyes moistened. "He always said Jasmine had his heart." She reminded him of himself when he was young. "A quiet storm," he called her. Jasmine's throat tightened at that. Her father slammed his napkin on the table. "This is ridiculous. What could he possibly have left her?" a bookshelf, and some gardening tools. Grandma just smiled. Try 78 acres in Brookridge Valley. The room exploded. What? Her uncle shouted. That's impossible. No, it's not, Grandma said calmly. He purchased that land 25 years ago. Kept it under a private trust. It was never touched because he didn't want any of you turning it into another shopping plaza. He wanted it to stay green, to become something meaningful. And he left it to her? Jasmine's cousin Zara spat. She sells used books. She owns a bookstore, Grandma corrected. And that land? It's been quietly accumulating value for years. The town recently approved permits for conservation tourism. That land is now worth nearly $6 million. A pin could have dropped. Jasmine wasn't smiling, but the stillness in her was no longer shame. It was a gathering strength. I don't want your apologies, she said quietly. I just want honesty. Her father's face had turned an alarming shade of red. You're bluffing. You're manipulating her. Actually, Grandma cut in, pulling out a second envelope from her handbag. Here are the trust documents. Signed. Notarized. You can verify it if you'd like. Zara was already fumbling for her phone. Eli looked stunned, the color draining from his face. Jasmine walked around the table slowly. With every step, she could feel the weight of old wounds starting to lift, not vanish, but loosen. Her mother opened her mouth, but Jasmine held up a hand. I came here tonight out of respect, she said. And you all turned it into a trial. But guess what? I don't need to prove anything to you anymore. She paused by her seat, then gently pushed it in. Grandma took Jasmine's hand. You ready to leave, sweetheart? Jasmine didn't hesitate. More than ready. And together, they walked out of the dining room. Not a single person followed. But Jasmine didn't need them to. The stars blinked through the windshield as Grandma's old Lincoln hummed along the country road. Jasmine sat in the passenger seat, the letter still clutched in her lap, like a lifeline. Her fingers had stopped trembling. For the first time in years, she felt seen. Grandma reached across the console, placing a gentle hand over hers. You always wondered why I stayed quiet all these years, she said softly. Jasmine glanced over, her eyes tired. Because you didn't want to upset them. No, Grandma replied. Because you weren't ready yet. And when you're not ready, the truth can feel like another kind of burden. But tonight, you were more than ready. They turned down a winding road bordered by massive pine trees, and just beyond the bend, a simple wooden sign emerged. Brookridge Valley, private property. The car slowed to a stop. Jasmine stepped out into the cool night air. Moonlight kissed the open field ahead, an expanse of gentle hills, golden grass, and a still lake that looked like a mirror reflecting the stars. It's beautiful, she whispered. Grandma stepped beside her. It's yours. Tears stung Jasmine's eyes. Why would he give this to me? Grandma took a deep breath. Because he saw how much you feel, how much you care. While the others chased prestige, you chased purpose. You didn't play the game, Jasmine. And he respected that more than you'll ever know. Jasmine sank into the grass, pulling her knees to her chest. All those years, I thought I was the disappointment. You were never the disappointment, Grandma said, kneeling beside her. You were the secret hope. The next morning, Jasmine stood at the edge of the lake with sunlight spilling across the land. She opened the second envelope, the trust documents, and tucked them back into her satchel. Then she pulled out a small leather notebook. She opened to a blank page and wrote one sentence at the top. This land won't be my revenge. It'll be my beginning. That same week, she contacted a nonprofit that built eco-retreats on conservation land. By week's end, Jasmine had met with architects, environmentalists, and local youth volunteers. She didn't announce her inheritance on social media. She didn't gloat. She just started quietly building something with meaning. Back in the city, her father stewed in silence. Her mother tried to call, twice, but Jasmine let it ring. She wasn't angry, just done chasing approval. 2 weeks later, a headline appeared on the local news site. Local bookstore owner begins eco-sanctuary project in Brookridge Valley. The family group chat exploded. Zara posted a passive-aggressive story. Eli messaged her directly. This some kind of flex? Jasmine just replied, No, it's peace. At the bookstore, an elderly man placed a hand on her counter. I saw what you're doing out there, he said. That land, it used to be forgotten. Now it might heal people. Jasmine smiled. That's the plan. But the true moment of reckoning came the following month, when Grandma invited everyone over for another family dinner. Only this time, Jasmine wasn't seated near the kitchen. She was at the head of the table. The dinner table looked almost identical to the one from that night. Same silverware, same chandelier, even the same overcooked lamb roast. But the energy? It was entirely different. Jasmine sat at the head this time. Not by force, not by declaration. Just naturally. Grandma had quietly guided her there as guests arrived, and no one questioned it. Not even her father. Zara arrived late, her heels clicking dramatically against the tiles. Eli kept his phone out, pretending not to care. Her parents sat stiffly on one side, casting occasional glances at Jasmine like they weren't sure how to talk to her anymore. Jasmine didn't speak much at first. She let the conversation meander. Real estate updates, social media followers, a new luxury gym opening downtown. The usual. Then, somewhere between dessert and awkward silence, her father cleared his throat. So, he said slowly, this conservation project. Sounds like a big undertaking. Jasmine met his eyes. It is. And you're doing it all yourself? I'm leading it, she said calmly. But not alone. There's a team. Community volunteers, young architects, eco-grants. It's becoming something bigger than I imagined. Her mother forced a smile. That's nice. Jasmine nodded. It is. The silence that followed was thick, but she didn't try to fill it. Let them sit in it. I never knew your grandfather had that land, her dad finally said. He never talked about it. He didn't trust how it would be used. Grandma cut in, sipping her tea without looking up. He watched everyone chase status, while Jasmine stayed grounded. It wasn't about bloodlines, it was about values. Her dad leaned back, uncomfortable. Well, still, he should have told us. It's not right to surprise a family like that. You mean surprise you? Jasmine said, her tone neutral but firm. He told me in his own way. Maybe not while he was alive, but loud enough through that letter. Eli broke in suddenly. So, what? You just get to become this inspirational success story out of nowhere? After all the years of doing nothing? Jasmine looked at him calmly. I wasn't doing nothing. I was surviving in silence. And growing. Some of us don't bloom under spotlights. Zara rolled her eyes. Okay, poet. But Grandma turned sharply. That's enough. The entire room froze. Even the chandelier crystals seemed to still. You all mocked her at this very table not long ago. You made her feel like she was worth less than you. Now that she's built something, without your help, you're uncomfortable. Her voice softened. But maybe this is your chance to grow too. Everyone went quiet. Jasmine rose from her seat, walking to the center of the table. She set down a folder. Inside were volunteer applications, youth mentorship program details, and scholarship forms tied to the eco-retreat. I'm not here to prove myself anymore, she said. But if any of you truly want to be part of something better than backhanded dinners and family gossip, here's the door in. Her father stared at the folder. Her mother looked down, ashamed. Eli said nothing. Only one person reached for the papers.
Farah.
She turned them over slowly, her voice lower than before. This mentorship program, it's for design students? Jasmine nodded. I might know a few girls who'd kill for something like this, Zara said, not looking up. They never get chances. Not like I did. For the first time, her voice didn't carry mockery. Jasmine smiled gently. Then maybe we start there. That night, Grandma hugged her tight at the door. You gave them something stronger than revenge, she whispered. What? A mirror. Jasmine looked out at the stars again. I just wanted to live without their voices in my head. And now? Grandma asked. Jasmine smiled. Now I live with mine. Months passed, and slowly, Brookridge Valley transformed. not into some commercial resort, but into something far more powerful. A sanctuary. The wild trails were preserved. Local artists were invited to paint along the lake's edge. Children from low-income neighborhoods planted trees, their laughter echoing where silence used to sit heavy. Veterans found quiet refuge in the meditation garden. And on weekends, Jasmine hosted community story nights by the fire pit, readings, music, healing. She didn't do it for praise. She did it because it felt right. The town began calling it Jasmine's Valley. At first, it embarrassed her. But when a young girl with tearful eyes whispered, "This place made me believe I could be more," Jasmine stopped hiding from the name. Back in the city, her family had changed in quiet, human ways. Not all at once. Not dramatically. But step by step. Her mother started volunteering at a community kitchen. Her father donated anonymously to the mentorship fund. Zara ended up hosting a fashion workshop at the retreat, teaching teen girls how to design and repurpose donated clothing. After the session, she found Jasmine by the lake. "They were better than I expected," Zara admitted, brushing hair from her eyes. "And I see it now. Why he left this to you." Jasmine just nodded. "Took me a while to see it too." Zara looked away. "I was cruel to you. All of us were." "Yeah," Jasmine said gently. "But you were also hurting in your own way." "A beat," Zara whispered. "I envy your peace." Jasmine reached into her satchel, pulled out a small journal, and handed it to her. "Then maybe start here. Write your truth down. Even if no one reads it but you." Zara blinked fast, then took the journal like it was something sacred. Later that evening, the whole family came to the valley for the first official public event, Voices of Brookridge, a community showcase. Jasmine stood backstage, holding a program. Her name was printed at the top. Grandma appeared at her side, holding a warm cup of tea. "You did it, sweetheart." Jasmine looked out at the crowd, families, friends, strangers, cousins who once laughed at her, now sitting shoulder to shoulder. "I didn't get revenge," Jasmine said softly, "but I got respect. And not the kind you demand, the kind you become." Grandma smiled, tears in her eyes. The MC announced her name. Jasmine stepped on stage, not as the forgotten cousin, not as the failure at the table, but as a woman who had rewritten her story in ink and soil. The lights hit her face. The crowd clapped gently, and Jasmine, holding the same letter that once broke her, finally spoke. "They called me a failure, but failure, to me, is never starting. I started late, but I started true. And I'm not here to prove you wrong. I'm here to show you what happens when you believe in yourself, even if no one else does." The applause didn't thunder. It rose slowly, softly, like a sunrise. That night, as lanterns lit the trees and music floated through the breeze, Jasmine stood alone at the edge of the lake. She whispered to the stars, "Thank you, Grandpa, for believing in the quiet one." And somewhere between the stillness and the wind, it felt like he answered, not with words, but with peace.